pocket right here in Lowndes County is obviously it's the most intense. We've got the lightning and we've got the rotation and the wind speed, the wind-driven rain as well. So let's go back to our Alpha Insurance camera in Columbus, and we're probably just going to be blinded by rain, and we are. I can't really see much right now looking due north, but it is wet, it is windy or breezy, not as windy as it had been, but it's now going to rain itself out here going forward. So let's go back in and concentrate on where we have the reason for being here this morning, the area of rotation, which now looks like it may be ramping back up a little bit more so. This is right south of the Air Force Base over the last scan along Gatlin Road. And this is moving to the northeast along and out towards Wolf Road and Calola Roads out here. So all those will go up towards Caledonia, which is right here. So locations out in here, it's really starting to ramp up right there, northeast of Oakdale Park, northeast of Gatlin Road. So heads up, locations along 45 east of the Air Force Base, northeastern Lowndes. This is the best looking signature we've had on our shear rate product over the last couple of scans. And so there definitely could be something going on, if nothing else, some very strong wind, but there's a little bit of something going on there near Calola Springs, and that is moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So hopefully those of you watching right now in Caledonia, Flint Hill, northeastern Lowndes County, you need to be in your safe zone right now and make sure that you ride out the storm in a safe place. And we're getting a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning strikes here in the Columbus area too. Just hearing the thunder crackle and crash outside of the building right now. So let's go back and check out our shear rate. And this is definitely looking like there's something of concern here in the area of the Air Force Base and 45, right along Ridge Road there, near a couple miles east of 45, somewhere right up in here. So for reference, the Air Force Base is right here. All right, so let's go back and check out our shear rate, and there you have it. So this looks like it's moving towards Caledonia, so please heed the warning. We have a Doppler radar indicated tornado warning now. Let's see, Jory Talley reporting she's lost some power on Spivey Road and off Ridge Road as well. Okay, so we're getting reports of some power outages and some issues like that here in the northern parts of Columbus and parts of Lowndes County too, north of Columbus. So again, it's 10:58. I'm Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. This is severe weather coverage on WCBI TV on our Saturday morning. This is likely going to be the last batch of severe weather we have today. It's rolling through right now. Should be clearing the area sometime after or by noon or shortly thereafter. There's our updated scan. We have a pretty good signature of some fast-moving wind right here, moving just to the east and northeast of the Air Force Base out towards Caledonia here. So this is a serious situation. It's hard to tell looking at this, but when we show something like that right there, that is a better perspective for those of you watching at home of where the most intense storminess is that could be producing a tornado or at least some wind damage here. So that is moving out towards Caledonia, so heads up here. Our velocity product not nearly as classic, but there's something going on up there most likely. And as we go to our other velocity product, again, there's something going on in that general vicinity. So that's why we like to show the shear rate, because it really does a pretty good job of picking up where the fastest moving wind is. Now, this doesn't guarantee a storm that's going to produce a tornado, but it does really pick up on where the worst of the wind is probably at any given time. Latest storm track on this just takes it to Caledonia by 11:08, Flint Hill by 11:13, and the Bedford community there of Lamar County by 11:23, and perhaps Vernon may be affected by this by 11:27. Okay, we have no warnings yet for Lamar County, Alabama, but that could change here. we remain under a tornado watch until 2 o'clock this afternoon, but that is the latest storm track on that. Now you see some of this color up here in Monroe County. It looks like that's probably just some ground clutter or something, but we'll continue to monitor that. It looks like it's some noise caused by being too close to the radar dome there in Monroe County. But it's really hard to tell from a radar perspective with all of this. Let me clear this storm track off. If you were to look at this and wonder where is this tornado in this mess, it's hard to tell. That's why we use that shear rate, because it really gives us a better indication of what's going on. So on a leading edge, very strong wind, very heavy rain behind it, thunder and lightning. But where we have some fast-moving wind, we have this color here. The brighter greens, the reds. Boy, we are getting some loud thunder outside our studios here in downtown Columbus. Okay? And it is coming down outside in Columbus. So, but suffice to say, this product that we're showing right now, this is the best potential for fast-moving wind that could cause wind damage. We've had reports of power lines come on down, trees come on down. We've had some issues here with this complex as it's been moving on through all the way from Winston County. So I want to show you our shear swath, if I can, and this will really show you where we have had this thing roll out of. It started. This is just the last hour. So we had this storm really swirl on up and get that tornado signature on radar near Oktok in southeastern Oktibbeha County. And it took this swath through Artesia, just northwest of downtown Columbus, and now it's approaching Caledonia. As it moved through Winston County, we caught it with our Skycam down there. Jacob was down there, and we had some wind gusts, maybe 40 plus miles per hour, causing some tree damage. And this thing really ramped on up and moved to the northeast. So that's the way it has been over the last hour. And this thing is about ready to clear the state line. We also have, just for note here, you may see it on our crawl, there is a tornado warning now. This is for southeastern parts of Kemper County for the storm that is trying to roll out of the Meridian area too. So you may see that in the crawl system that is south of our coverage area, but it's on our southern fringe. We'll be watching out for that. Maybe it will clip southeastern Pickens County. We'll see. But right now we're mainly concerned about this big, huge massive a storm out towards Caledonia here in northern parts of Lowndes County and northeastern Lowndes County. And let's go on and put on our triple threat here. We could still, we could actually see a little bit of hail with some of this heavier rain. Not probably a lot of signature for some big hail here, but this purple at least shows the potential for a little bit of some smaller hail in this. It's basically a wind and rain and isolated tornado type situation right now. So the way it's looking now, this is beginning to look a little bit more extensive, or at least it was on the last scan. There could be some pretty good strong wind in some of this as it lifts out of the Columbus area. Now, like the latest bullseye takes it right up towards the vicinity of, this is the last couple of scans here. Let's see, this is off of, there's Sproul Road right here, Buckegger Road right here, that little red dot right up there. I know there's some fields, wide open spaces up in here, so you may be able to see something coming on in to the city of Caledonia out in that general vicinity. It's coming up towards that area. All right, let's go to Jacob on the phone.
Hey, Keith, we are north on 45, coming back south from the airbase. There is some damage that we saw in the city of Columbus. At the Sonic on 45 north of downtown, the sign is missing. It has been blown out of there. There's also some tree damage in that area. We've gotten reports from Scott Martin. He lives up in that area where there's power lines down also. There has been damage from wind in the city of Columbus. Right here at Columbus on 45 and Highway 50, which takes you to West Point, right by Columbus Middle School. The power is out up here. There is a little bit of power in between here and there, so down past the Applebee's. But south of the Applebee's, then, again, from between the mall and up towards the Sonic, that Taco Bell, power is out in that area. So there is some damage in Columbus from this wind that has come through. The main threat moving now towards Caledonia, we can see the bowing structure of that storm as it heads into northeast Lowndes County and then eventually into Lamar County. some of you folks that live perhaps in Vernon area, this may be a heads up. Storms are coming your way. But again, there is tree power line damage and some minor structural damage on Highway 45 North in Columbus. We have seen the Columbus Police Department out assessing things as well. We're going to go back into town and look at things, get in contact with some people, and we'll bring you a report from the field here soon. Keith?
All right, Jacob, appreciate that information right there. Good stuff as you continue to comb the situation out there as the storm complex moves on through. So this is going to be it, folks. This is going to be the last chance that we have for severe weather today. Now, just coming back into looking at this a little bit more closely, we have this thing is ramped up pretty good here. Just looking at this little notch. Basically, right over Wolf, Buckegger here, northeastern Lowndes, we've got a pretty good signature for some wind and some ongoing problems out in this area in northeastern Lowndes County. So this is moving towards Caledonia if it's not in there already, because some of these products are a little bit delayed. So just a heads up here, seek your safety zones, Caledonia, all the way out towards the state line along some of these roads that take you out towards Vernon. So again, this is a Doppler radar type tornado warning situation, but we have definite ground truth of wind damage here across Winston and Lowndes counties and also parts of Oktibbeha County too, as this line of storms continues to bulge out and continues to get that little kink going right there. And that's that little hook, that little kink in that line that is responsible for what could be a tornado at any given time here this morning. So there's our latest velocity couplet, and we have, actually let's go to our other couplet here. There's something going on up here around Caledonia. This is some of our storm relative velocity. We're taking some of our storm movement out of the data. But suffice to say, there's something going on, at least as far as in the sky here, in and around the Caledonia area. This is the strongest signature, or one of the stronger signatures we've had with this complex, and it is now out towards Caledonia. So again, this is moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour, and that's going to take it into Vernon by 11:30. But Caledonia now, and basically Bedford by 11:25, Vernon by 11:30. So these areas right along Alabama 18 that goes from the state line over to Vernon, you need to be prepared too. You have no warning yet, but this thing's holding together, and it looks like it will continue to hold together here unless something changes miraculously over the next couple of minutes here. But the worst of the weather now is done for the city of Columbus. It's going to rain and keep raining here. But if you are concerned about any tornado threat now in the city of Columbus, that is over, okay? We are done with the threat of any tornadic activity in the city of Columbus at this point. So let me pop on our velocity or radar data. The worst of the storm now pulling east towards the state line and Caledonia. So basically, we're done with the storm in Columbus. Yeah, there's some thunder and lightning that's hanging back a little bit. The heaviest downpour is now shifting east towards the state line. So I think we're good to go with that. It looks like the, let's see here. Let me pop on my alerts real quick. We now have a severe thunderstorm warning for southern Lamar and northern parts of Pickens County. That goes until 12:30 because of this gusty line of storms. National Weather Service in Birmingham issuing a severe thunderstorm warning for these areas in West Alabama until 12:30, and we will continue to monitor the situation as far as this rotation as it gets closer and closer to the state line here. So there's still some room for error here. They're still watching the tornado rotation signature on radar, and their National Weather Service in Birmingham's going to wait a little bit longer. Jacob, what do you got?
The field here right now, this is right by the Sonic on 45. Power is out near the Arby's, just along and to the north of the Walmart. You can see a Columbus Police Department vehicle that is here. As I pan back to the north, there is some trees that have been damaged, and also the Sonic here. It looks like there is the sign. I'm not sure if you can see that on our screen there. The sign is missing. It used to say Sonic up there, but it is no longer there. A lot of trash in the parking lot here. So definitely some damaging winds that came through this area. We haven't heard any reports of any more serious damage, but we are continuing to check things out here around the north part of Columbus to see if there is any more wind damage. Again, power is out for a large chunk of this area. North on 45 from here, you go past towards where you turn for the hospital on 45. Power is out to there. There's 3 Columbus police officers that are here. I think you can see on that camera there, there's some pieces of the Sonic sign which has been destroyed in the parking lot and whatnot. So we're going to be out here looking at damage and checking things out for you. Again, some trees that have been damaged. There is some power outages and some minor structural damage. We're going to find out the full extent of that and continue to bring that to you.
All right, Jacob, appreciate that. Good reporting, and you are definitely in the heart of the situation there in the northern part of the city of Columbus as that wall of wind and rain ripped on through here. It doesn't take too much wind to cause some damage, and we have some wind issues obviously developing across our area this afternoon, or soon to be this afternoon, right now late this morning. We have the greatest wind signature out towards Caledonia proper. That is quickly lifting towards the state line. We don't have a tornado warning officially issued yet for folks over into West Alabama and Lamar County, but I will tell you that we're continuing to track this to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour, and that will take this towards Vernon by 11:30 or so. So just a heads up here, locations between Caledonia and Vernon, Alabama, we have this wind pocket, if nothing else, that has been causing damage. That is coming your way, so you need to be prepared. If you have one of those trampolines or something, some lawn furniture, tie it down, bring it in. Because right now it looks like we're going to have some wind really get stirred up by this bulging line of storms as it continues to move off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So over the last 30 minutes, this is how it's moved. It is bowing out now into southwestern parts of Lamar County and that little kink right up here towards Flint Hill now, extreme northeastern parts of Lowndes. This is the most susceptible part to any sort of tornado threat at this point. But there's a wind damage threat all along the leading edge of this thing, okay? So right now this is just a wall of wind and rain that is going to be coming in pretty fast, and we still have that potential to maybe get another one of those brief spin-ups on this line here as it continues to chug off to the east. But these little bowing structures are always the most problematic things that we deal with here because they're the ones that bow out from the main line, and on the apex of that bow is where we tend to get some very fast wind, and those are the areas that we tend to at least have a better chance to get one of those spin-up tornadoes, okay? And we have another storm cell down here in southern parts of Kemper County that is lifting to the northeast too. So that is something we will continue to monitor. Our coverage area is right here, Pickens County. We don't cover this area down here, but we'll be watching out for southern Pickens here if that thing can hold together. So behind all of this, we are looking at a widespread rain situation that will continue for a while with some embedded thunder and lightning in this. So it's not safe to go outside. If you hear thunder, theoretically you can be struck by lightning. If you can hear thunder, even if it's a long ways away, that lightning or that thunder, you can hear it, or you can be struck if there's lightning out there. So stay indoors. That's what I'm trying to say. Stay indoors until you don't hear thunder for like 30 minutes, and then you should be safe. But right now we're still getting some lightning strikes going all the way back out in the stratus cloud deck back towards Kosciuszko and I-55. So pretty active weather day for us, but the big kahuna, if you will, as far as the severe weather threat is this little bowing structure that is now moving into Lamar County, Alabama, out of Lowndes County. It is now 11:14. We have a thunderstorm that is moving out of Lowndes County now into parts of Pickens County, Alabama, and right now, we have no official tornado warning yet for Lamar County. We have just the severe thunderstorm warning that is issued. Okay. So right now, we'll stay on the air a little bit longer here, monitor this, and just see what happens. But the tornado warning for Lowndes is expected to expire at 11:15, and it looks like the storm is clearing Lowndes County now. So we should be in good shape as far as all spots in Lowndes County here very, very soon with the storm lifting into Lamar. But heads up over here into The Vernon area, even Sulligent too, because this whole mass of rain and wind and lightning is coming your way, and we may see some wind damage here, even that may not be caused by an actual tornado. It could be caused by just some straight line wind damage. And I suspect we probably had a fair amount of some straight line wind damage as we've gone throughout the last hour, hour and a half here across northeast Mississippi and Lowndes County. So the worst of the weather now is beginning to shift across the state line. It looks like most of our Mississippi territory is about ready to be severe weather free for the rest of today. We'll be in cleanup mode, mop-up mode, as they say. And the tornado warning has now been allowed to expire since it is 11:15. We've got news crews scattered about here in the area. Let me go back and check some of my information here. We've got see, emergency sirens were down in Caledonia earlier. Firefighters were driving around in their trucks to sound the alarm, and that was earlier today, according to a caller that came on in to our newsroom. Let's see. Some more wind damage reports across our area too. So we're going to be combing through our reports as we go throughout the course of the rest of the day here, and we'll compile a complete report on WCBI News at 6 o'clock later tonight, and also at 9 on the CW and 10 here on WCBI 2. But right now, looking at the big picture, I just want to let you know that I'm going to throw on our national radar product, and this is it. So if you want to know if there's going to be any more severe weather today, once this line of storms clears your area, the leading edge clears your area, you will be in the clear. So right now, 90% of our area is in the clear outside of West Alabama. So generally speaking, all of our Mississippi area is basically out of the woods as far as severe weather potential now. We are just concerned about Lamar County and our West Alabama counties here as we go throughout the next couple of minutes with this line of storms coming on in here. So the tornado warning has been canceled been allowed to expire for the Lowndes County area, but we still have that one random tornado warning here down here in southeastern Kemper County. And I guess I'm going to stick with this a little bit longer as long as we do have this tornado warning down here. And we do have the potential for an additional tornado warning in Lamar County to stay on the air just a little bit longer for you. But we're combing around with a lot of reports. I think we will soon go to Jacob out in the field at some point. But let me go back and swap on our local radar data here so you can get a better picture. So there's this other tornado warning down here for areas south and east of, or areas south of Scuba. All right, another report from Joey. Reporting the roof partially blown off at Highway 182 in Columbus. EMA is trying to confirm this. Okay, so we're trying to work on some of these reports here in and around the Columbus area, the Golden Triangle area in Lowndes County. But right now, I would say the strongest wind potential here. Let's go back. We got to concentrate on where we have the strongest wind because we're still dealing with it. We're not done yet. It's out here now northeast of Caledonia, approaching Vernon. Go back to our shear rate here. We're losing some of this right now, but we're going to go back to Jacob live in the field. Jacob, what do you got?
Hey, Keith, I'm not sure if you can see on our camera right now. I'm using the phone to talk to you, but there's some damage in this neighborhood behind the Sonic. I'm going to point it over here to the west here. The Backyard Burgers that's there, the Walmart is just beyond those trees. There's a tree that has split. The homeowner next door told us that it has come into the house here. There's also just down the way that you can see some people that are trying to put back a fence. A lot of tree damage that is along this road here. Even over here, we're going to walk over here real quick and take a look at this house. A big chunk of that tree has come down on the front of this home. It looks like the neighbors have been looking in the backyard at some tree damage. Again, this is on the north side of Columbus, behind the Sonic on 45. If you're heading north towards the air base by the Walmart there, a bit of a heavy damage in this area. As we see this tree here, kind of what we're looking at. For the most part, it seems like the structural damage is limited. We did see the sign at Sonic and perhaps some roof damage. Joey Barnes coming with that report there. A lot of it is going to be these trees that have fallen on the houses like this one here in Columbus. We're going to continue scouring this neighborhood. Of course, we'll be here with continuing coverage as severe weather moves through the area with that Kemper County tornado warning also. We're also going to be updating things on WCBI.com. We've got our team of reporters out there getting the damage and checking things out. And we'll have the latest on the damage tonight on WCBI News at 6 and 10 for you. Reporting live in Columbus here, I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We're going to send it back to you in the studio, Keith.
Good reporting there, Jacob. Indeed, a lot of tree damage up there on the north side of Columbus, and that meshes well with what we were watching on radar when we were showing you our sky cam there from downtown with that wall of wind and rain sweeping through North Columbus. As we were showing you that, what Jacob just showed you, that was what was actually occurring down here at the ground level. So we're putting two and two together. A strong wind coming in out of the thunderstorm coming on down to the surface, blowing on out. Most likely, probably straight line wind damage. Of course, we'll have to go back and survey some of this and see exactly what took place here. But maybe there was a weak tornado or two embedded in this circulation as it moved on through. Hard to tell with some of the radar imagery and some of the wet imagery we were trying to look at via our Skycam and whatnot. So the strongest wind now pushing over here into Lamar County, and we'll stay with this a little bit longer here since we do have some ongoing concerns across our area. This thunderstorm is now moving towards the city of Vernon. It is bowing out a little bit more. Our shear rate, though, is down. Let me turn these lightning strikes off a little bit. It's down a little bit, but we still have this pocket basically crossing over the state line along Highway 18 there near the Malloy area in western parts of Lamar County there. So suffice to say, speaking of Vernon, let's go to our Alpha Insurance camera in Vernon. And we have another perspective of this storm as it may come on through here. So we're looking back off to the southwest here. I'm going to move it a little bit more to due west. So once again, another ideal solution we have here with our Alpha Insurance camera network. This one is over at Durham's Pharmacy in Vernon, and we will watch the situation unfold here as the storm gets a little bit closer to your vicinity here. But we are now watching these trees in the foreground. We have that stout southerly flow out ahead of this line, and we're looking at some turbulence as it approaches. And there's some, looks to be some lower clouds approaching the city of Vernon right now. A couple of different layers of clouds going on. So we're looking back down to the southwest, and again, we are looking, I need to move this more to the west. So we're basically looking in this general direction. I need to pop on our radar here, and we are going to get a pretty good storm to come on in. So we'll keep that perspective right now. It's going to get dark. It's going to rain. It is going to thunder and lightning in Vernon here. There is a lot of lightning ongoing with this storm. And again, this is not a tornado warning technically right now. We're staying with you a little bit longer here for West Alabama because we do have a potential that this could morph into maybe another one of those spin-up situations here. But we're trying to canvass the area with some more damage reports and try to get through all of this. So this is all going to be wrapping up here by, it looks like by noon. That's the good news here. If there's any good news, if there's any silver lining today, is that the severe weather threat will be done midday, and we will have the rest of the day, daylight into the early evening, to comb through the damage that has taken place across our region today and to go back into repair mode here as we just kind of canvass the area for some information. Hey, those of you back in the control room, go ahead and pop this up full screen. I'm going to go over to links 1 real quick, and I want to move over a map of the four-county electric power outage type situation. Right now, they've got, according to the outage map here, we've got about 2,000 customers out of power with 10 total outages. So I've got that popped up over on our other system there. If we can go ahead and take links 1 full screen, you can be able to see this map. And there's the four-county electric power grid type situation. We've got a couple of outages there. A lot of those concentrated in and around the Columbus area, North Columbus, northeastern Lowndes County there, where the edge of their service area occurs. So we do have some power outages out there. This is just four-county. There's other areas that are being affected too. So that's the current situation on that. All right. Now let's go back to our links 2, and I'm going to go back to our Alpha Insurance camera in downtown Vernon, Alabama. If this can load up real quick here. There it goes. And we've got some low clouds coming on in. Here comes the storm we can see the lowering here, the low clouds coming on in as the storm approaches Vernon. And so the outflow's coming on in. We're going to start to see some of this wind really start to pick up here, and a pretty good dose of rain. All right, we're going to go back to Jacob with another report of some damage here in North Columbus.
Hey, Keith, we are at a home just to the behind the McDonald's on 45. This is a large tree that has come down. It is blown to the east here. You can see behind that the home is there. I'm going to come over here, and we've got some power lines that are wrapped up in this, but you can see the root of the tree, how it's been uprooted right here. And the whole tree is spanning onto here. The homeowner has told us that there is some damage to the home, and I'm not sure if you can see in the tree, but there are a couple of holes in the roof. Quite some substantial damage to blow trees down like this here in North Columbus. Another big tree over here, we can see, I think you can see it there, it was a very mature tree. It looks very healthy too. It's been blown down. I'm going to walk over and you can see the root ball here. A lot of homes in this neighborhood have damage because of trees falling on them like this. Some rather significant damage, really, of all the trees that have come down, the power lines that are wrapped up. Columbus crews are out working to clean up and assess the damage. But we'll have to wait and see whether or not this was actually a tornado or if it was damaging winds. That call is left up to the National Weather Service. But what we are looking at is, for sure, some sort of wind has come through and made a swath in North Columbus, producing damage. We're continuing to get that rain. You're hearing that lightning and thunder. So for those of you in Lamar County that are listening, Lamar County, Alabama, this storm has a history of producing some pretty extensive wind damage. You'll want to be taking your severe weather precautions, moving indoors, away from windows. If you're in a mobile home, it might be best to get out to a sturdier structure. If you know anyone who's out and about, let them know and give them a heads up, because we're seeing some fairly extensive damage here in North Columbus. Reporting here in North Columbus on 45, I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We'll continue to monitor things. For now, we'll send it back to you, Keith.
Appreciate that report, Jacob. And speaking of this swath of damage, this is our shear swath, and this is where we've had the wind really ramp on up as it developed down there in southeastern Oktibbeha County, and I've drawn where we've had that swath of significant wind most likely occur through Artesia, GTR Airport, North Columbus right here, and Jacob reporting right from about there. And then we had an explosion of color out towards Caledonia, so there's probably some more wind damage issues out towards northeastern Lowndes County too that we just haven't gotten to yet. So we're going to be combing through this reports and getting our crews out there to see exactly the extent of the situation as it's been unfolding. This is just the last hour in time here as we've been tracking these storms moving across our area today. All right, so let's go back to our radar and concentrate on the current. And we do have these warnings that continue for parts of Lamar County and Pickens County, Alabama, until 12:30. A wall of wind and rain coming your way with some embedded thunder and lightning. So heads up, like Jacob just mentioned, Vernon, Millport, Reform, Carrollton. Let's go back to our Alpha Insurance camera in downtown Vernon at Durham's Pharmacy, and we can see this line of storms approach here. As it loads, we are going to be able to see this wall of wind and rain eventually come on in here. So it's just a matter of time now. We're living on borrowed time, I think, here in Lamar County and Vernon. Move this back down to the southwest here. So maybe tying up some bandwidth may take a little bit of a delay to get this to load up. But you can see the clouds coming on in, they're lowering. We're still getting some breezes here. Not too many problems yet here in Vernon, but that will be changing here very, very soon, it would appear, at this time. So we will continue to monitor that feed right now. And just go ahead and reiterate the fact that now it looks like the 99% of our area in Mississippi is basically severe weather free. The exception is our fringe county, southeastern parts of Kemper County. Let me go in and check in and see what's been going on. We have a severe thunderstorm warning continues for Lamar and Pickens County again until 12:30. The storm is moving east at about 25. So let's do a storm track on this thing. And it slowed down a little bit, but this whole thing is moving east at about east-northeast about 25. And that would put it into, basically it's in Vernon right now, but this will take it into Millport by 11:42 and by 1153 reform, but it's essentially, Vernon didn't plot on that list, but you need to be battening down the hatches right now with the storm line coming on in. So strong wind potential in this. That is what we have been contending with for a good chunk of the event here today. And speaking of that strong wind, that is this stuff bowing out here, all this bright red. We're going to plot some of this. So we're scanning about 3,600 feet above the surface. So some of this could be a little bit stronger at the surface, but definitely still some strong wind potential on the leading edge of this as it approaches Vernon. So we may not have the most intense wind approach you in Vernon. I'm just looking at our shear rate. It's really ramped back down. So things seem to be pulsing back down a little bit here. Got a report of a tree down in New Hope as well with some of this activity that was moving on through, and that would be the southern part of this line. We were concentrating on the warning earlier up here towards Caledonia, but obviously we had some stronger wind shear right here move through the New Hope area, and just got a report via our newsroom that there has been at least one tree down here in the New Hope area. Could be a little bit more than that, but definitely probably a lot of tree damage, more extensive than what we've been talking about that we just don't know yet, that will eventually trickle out. Okay, so getting some more reports out of Tibaha County, some trees down as well, and so we will be coming through all these reports and compiling all of this on our coverage later tonight. But right now, we have the strongest line of storms now marching east. We now have a new severe thunderstorm warning here for southeastern Noxubee until 12:15. And we also have to be aware that little structure down here near Scuba, this is another one of those little Boeing structures, and we still have this tornado warning down here for southeastern Kemper until 11:45 in the morning. And so we can't discount this. That too is lifting back to the northeast here. This is the last 30 minutes of data on that, and the general motion is to the northeast here. So that could indeed clip southwestern parts of Pickens County, Alabama. So not completely out of the woods yet. The Weather Service in Birmingham thus far going with severe thunderstorm warnings and not tornado warnings, but we are going to look at our shear rate product here, and we are getting some of that green showing up southeast of Scuba where the tornado warnings is in place. And also we're getting some of that to pop here in southwestern parts of Pickens County, where oddly enough you're not under a severe thunderstorm warning, but we actually have some pretty fast moving wind moving through this part of our area as well. So it doesn't take an official severe thunderstorm warning to give you some wind damage. We use that as a threshold for criteria. When it comes to issuing those warnings, we need some wind gusts to 58 miles per hour, some quarter-size hail. But we obviously can get some tree damage and wind damage with sub-severe wind speeds and wind gusts. And we've had that most likely around parts of the region today. Okay, so just multitasking here, trying to look at some new reports here. Got some more report of, another report of some wind damage in the New Hope area. Still getting that video on into our weather center. And anyway, at this point, the strongest storm's now pulling away from Mississippi state line over here in the Vernon. And let's go back over here. The storm's coming on in right now. Let's take you live to Vernon with our Alpha Insurance camera here at Vernon at Durham's Pharmacy. We should have a pretty good scene. There's the storm. It has arrived. It's not nearly as gusty as it had been as it was moving through the Lowndes County area, but we are still looking at some pretty good wind-driven rain here. Again, this is our camera at Durham's Pharmacy there, just north of the square in downtown Vernon. And we're just watching those trees bob back and forth here. It's a gusty day. We've had some wind damage out there. You're probably wondering why I'm on the air. Well, we've had tornado warnings here this morning, and now we have some severe thunderstorm warnings and one sliver of a tornado warning in Kemper County, so we're going to stay with this a little bit longer to make sure that we can clear the storms out in their entirety and get as many live reports from the field on the air as we can before we go into full-blown recap mode later today in our newsroom and get our stuff ready for our newscast later on tonight. So you saw some lightning flash there in Vernon at Durham's Pharmacy. We've got some vivid lightning, some loud thunder in this stuff today, as it has really been perking on up as it's been moving through the Golden Triangle area. So it is a wet go of it now here in Vernon. Back to the radar we go. There's the storm moving through Vernon, now Sulligent right now, all the way through Lamar County. We have some very heavy rain. Pretty good dose of thunder and lightning here from Vernon to Sulligent. And those are the clouded ground lightning strikes. We've got a new one right there south of Vernon. And these continue to pulse up here. This is the strongest storm that has been moving on through. But as I mentioned earlier, even behind it, we are getting some lightning strikes all the way back out here towards Kosciuszko. So the thunder and lightning will not completely go away until this whole episode winds down later this afternoon and this evening. There's that other storm down here towards Scuba. Let's go in and inspect. This also is Doppler radar indicated possible wind type situation, and there's a little bit of a couplet right there along the state line right there. And as we show you our shear rate, we're just probably looking at some straight line wind more than anything else, I would guess. Just looking at the poor sample quality of some of this rotation we're trying to look at here. But the National Weather Service in Jackson has now expired the tornado warning as of now, 11:36, for Kemper County because the storm has now lifted into Alabama. Now, this is why we stayed on the air. The National Weather Service in Birmingham has now issued a tornado warning for Fayette and Lamar counties. This goes until noon. And this will be most likely one of the last warnings we're going to have here. It's about ready to plot on my map. So when it does, it will plot here. Again, this is for Lamar and Fayette counties in Alabama. There it is. Let's go to our radar product right now, our velocity or reflectivity. All right, so we have a Doppler radar indicated a possible tornado right there near Kingville. That is lifting to the northeast here. So watch out Crossville, Mount Vernon over here in Fayette County, and also out towards Bluff in Lafayette County too. Or Fayette County. Sorry, I'm getting all my Lafayettes and Fayettes confused here. It's Fayette County, Alabama. But that storm is Doppler radar indicated rotation. It is moving off to the northeast at 45. So let's go ahead and inspect our shear rate here. And one little dot, I tell you, that could be it. But that one little dot right there could be it. So it doesn't take much. So let's do a storm track on this. I know it looks very minuscule. Northeast at about 45. And that's going to put it in Crossville by 11:44, Mount Vernon 11:49, the Bluff community at 11:54, and Wayside by 11:59. So it's basically right over Kingville right there. That's where the best indication is that we are getting some spin here on the radar imagery. Again, we're getting another one of those little notches right there. I mean, if you've been watching our coverage today, we've been talking about those little notches right there. And we got another one, and that is heading to the northeast towards Crossville. So basically along Jenkins Road, Snake Branch Road, these areas east of Vernon, along Highway 18 and south near Crossville, and east of Highway 17. This is where you need to be seeking protection, shelter, what have you. Your storm safety plan needs to be put into action. Interior rooms away from windows, basements, obviously, they're limited down here in this part of the world. Storm shelters, many folks have them or at least access to one. But try to get yourself between the outside environment and you, trying to get yourself between you and the environment, that's what I'm trying to say, with as many walls as possible here to protect yourself from whatever may or may not come out of this. But I will say, if you've been following us, we've had numerous reports of wind damage across the Golden Triangle area in northeast Mississippi, and now this strong storm is now ramping on up here, and there's that little hook right there northeast of Kingville, moving towards Crossville right now. So you need to be in your safety zone. This is a new tornado warning now until noon here for northeastern parts of Lamar County, Alabama. Go back to our shear rate. It's very subtle right there. I mean, this is about as subtle as you can get as far as our shear rate product, but it is still doing a fantastic job here because if we didn't have this, we'd be showing you something like this, and it's very hard to tell exactly if we have something in there or not. But when we look at our velocity product here, all of this bright red here, that is wind going away from the radar site. So this is some fast-moving wind going in that general direction. We don't necessarily have a lot of wind going in that direction, at least according to this scan, but there's some fast-moving wind coming out away, moving away from the radar site, which is actually in Monroe County. So there is some sign that there's a little bit of a hook trying to develop on this little notch on that line that's trying to, that circulation is trying to tighten on up just a little bit near Kingville in Lamar County. So that's the situation we have here. Heads up, it doesn't look like much here on our radar. That may change, but for reference, Vernon is right there. And the worst of the weather now, if there's going to be any tornado potential in this, now looks like it has now bypassed Vernon to the east. And we will likely just have the worst of the weather continue to move east, and we will just have this rain and breezy type weather continue for the rest of the near term here for maybe the next couple of hours here in Vernon. So I think the severe weather threat is now done as a live look there, downtown Vernon, Alabama. There's our updated shear rate, bam, right there. That is right along the Snake Branch Road, which is right there in eastern parts of Lamar County, and for reference, there is the Fayette County line. So it's very, very close. This would be southeast of Vernon, about 7 miles or so, and it is that little appendage hook type thing that's trying to gust on out. Very similar to what we were tracking as that storm moved through the Columbus area with that gust front. These, sometimes we call them gust nados. They're very short-lived, weak, but they can still cause some damage. And that's what we're dealing with right now here, about 8 miles southeast of the city of Vernon, approaching the state line. So very strong storm producing that tornado, and can't forget about the fact that we also have a severe thunderstorm warning that goes all the way down towards Reform, Alabama. At this point, Lamar County EMA is not reporting any damage at this time per Joey Barnes, so that's certainly good news. But we can never be too safe, hence the reason why we have these warnings in place. All right, but we still have these severe thunderstorm warnings that go down to the south and southwest into southwestern parts of Pickens County, Alabama. So the only other squirrely thing that we're tracking is that little segment of that line right here east of Scuba that had been warned, tornado warned. Now it is not, since it's slipped over the state line, but it's got that little bow structure. It's a miniature version of the one that we had that moved through the Columbus area. But at this point, if we don't get anything out of those two, then there's nothing behind it to worry about. And that's certainly good news. Now, we will have a fair amount of cloud cover. Here's our visible satellite. We've got some high overcast spilling out of all this, and then we have some additional clouds back to the west, too. So we may see a little bit of sunshine later today, but it's probably going to fill back in a little bit before we clear things out more so tonight. And just FYI, if you're curious, the center of all this is up here near Omaha. Some of these clouds up here in the high plains, we'll tend to see some of those wrap all the way back down here in the North Mississippi tomorrow. So we'll tend to see a little bit of sun perhaps early Sunday, but more in the way of some cloudiness as we get into the course of our Sunday afternoon. And the big explosion of color today with the satellite product, the oranges, the reds illustrate those colder, taller, stronger storms, and they've really been pulsing on up. But notice this, a lot of that convection is down towards south, but there's a little blow up here and that has been with the storms moving through the Golden Triangle area. So it's going to be kind of interesting to go back here later tonight and tomorrow to analyze some of the data and just kind of put this all together and see how this all came together. But we did squeeze in a little bit of sunshine in and around the Columbus area today, and that may have been just enough to get the storms going and pulse them up a little bit, because prior to the storms getting to eastern Winston County, we didn't have a lot of lightning for the longest time, and now we have some robust lightning strikes around here. And actually, we have even more so starting to flare up with that little miniature bow out there east of Scuba. So that is going to be something that we're going to have to watch as it approaches southern parts of Pickens County. But let's go back into Lamar. And again, we still have this tornado warning that will continue for a few more minutes until 12 for northeastern parts of Lamar County, all because of this pocket of potential, let's say, that is now south of 18, east of Snake Branch Road in rural Lamar County, Alabama, moving towards Mount Vernon over here in Fayette County, Alabama. And this tornado warning goes until 12. So our television viewing area ends at the state line here, and the Birmingham TV market picks up over here in Fayette County. But we'll play this out and watch the storm slip across the county line, because there's still that little appendage right there that is always one of those little sinister type things to see on one of these squall lines as it bows on out. So if nothing else, there's very heavy rainfall, thunder and lightning in this activity. Farther south, let's go ahead and inspect this product down here, that little bow structure. And we actually have some pretty good indication of some fast-moving wind, probably bowing out here east of Scuba across the state line into parts of West Alabama. And that's why there's a severe thunderstorm warning over here near the Geiger community here, right along Highway 17, just across the state line. So that's probably some very fast-moving wind too. That's probably having some straight-line wind damage potential here across western parts of Alabama. So the 30-minute lapse on that shows how it ramped on up and then is continuing to shift to the northeast. So that may clip southeastern parts of Pickens County, may clip Aliceville. So heads up here over the next couple of minutes, probably between now and about 12:15, the next 30, that could be a concern for you in Aliceville. So there's, excuse me, according to our Shirey product here, there's a lot of green showing up from Lamar down through Pickens and into these areas here east of Scuba. And so there's some straight line wind damage potential in all of this as it continues lifting off to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So let's do another quick storm track on some of this activity here and let you know exactly what is happening. As far as this line of storms moving through Lamar, we'll just do a track like this, and this is moving about 40 miles per hour. That would put it in Mount Vernon in Fayette County at 11:53, and in Fayette, the county seat of Fayette County at 12:03. So pretty fast moving. Again, this is slipping out of our television market, so we'll be saying goodbye to that complex here shortly, and then we'll be watching out for this storm complex down here in to area southwest of Aliceville. Right now near the Geiger community along Highway 17 and the Fair Oaks area, which is east of the Noxubee County line. Okay, so that's another little area of wind that we are concerned about right now. So that's really the only game in town. If you're expecting to see some programming on WCBI TV, right now this is severe weather coverage. It's 11:48. We're going to be with you here for a little while longer, just to make sure that this stuff can get out of here, and we'll settle things down a little bit and go back to regular programming hopefully by midday and allow things to wind down. But the severe weather threat is done for Columbus, it is done for Tupelo, Starkville, West Point, every location basically outside of extreme southeastern Noxubee County and Pickens County, Alabama. We're basically in the clear right now with no major issues. So aside from some steady rain, some lightning, some thunder, steady to heavy rain, and that will just continue for the next couple of hours across our region here. So that's the big picture. I know we've had a lot of folks chiming in on our social media accounts asking us, is the severe weather threat done? It is. For Columbus, it's done. Go about your life, clean up your stuff that got ruined today because of the storms, but do be aware there's still thunder and lightning in this activity behind the initial wave, and that is still cause for concern. So you don't want to be outdoors with thunder and lightning going. You want to really allow that to rest for about 30 minutes. But a lot of folks don't really heed that warning, but it's a warning that we'll give you to cover ourselves here at WCBI. All right, so the strong storm's now lifting out of, it looks like the Lamar County tornado warning has now been canceled because the storm has slipped into Fayette County. Still have a severe thunderstorm warning now for Lamar County, Alabama. This goes until 12:30. And barring anything squirrely in the next couple of minutes here, the worst of the weather is going to be quickly exiting Lamar County, Alabama, and we should be in fairly good shape here going forward. We're still tracking these storm cells down here in Pickens County. There is Reform, Ethelsville, down towards Pickensville, and still a lot of very heavy rainfall in this, thunder and lightning, some gusty breezes, and the potential for some damaging wind gust potential. But at this point, nothing too terribly strong as far as active weather is concerned going forward. Our shear rate is kind of all over the place here. We have pockets of high and low, a bit nebulous. The radar beam is looking into a lot of stuff here, so it may be not giving us a clear picture of what's going on with some of this activity. But there's still some wind pockets in here, so just be aware of what's been going on here across our region today. Another report from Jory Talley. All right. Don't know what she was talking about here, okay. But she, along with the rest of our news crew today, has been fielding some of these reports that we're trying to get on in here across our area. So right now, we are continuing to track these storms. Again, just to let you know, let's go back to our big picture here. We have a tornado watch that continues technically until 2 for Lowndes, Noxubee, and Kemper counties. That is going to be dropped sooner than 2 because the storms are on the way out. For Lamar and Pickens, that watch goes until 7, but that watch is going to be dropped sooner. Probably by 1 we'll be done with our storms in Fayette County until 7 too. So the storms are moving away. A lot of it's going to be concentrated down into the southern part of Alabama and Mississippi as we go throughout the course of the day. Okay. We're working on trying to get some stuff established here in the studio here, and we'll do that. But okay. So Jacob, I think, is in the studio, and are you mic'd up and ready to roll? Okay. So Jacob, if you want to just come on over, I'm going to pop the radar back up here,
sure.
And we'll just have a little chit-chat about what's been going on out there today. Good job out there in the field. Let's go back and pop up the radar, and I'll let you just tell you a story. And what do we got?
Sure, yes. We started this morning very early watching that line. I know you've been here a long day for you, and really thankful to have that coverage from you. Mm-hmm. Out in the field, we saw quite a bit of damage that really was indicative of some strong winds. So we started in Louisville near Noxubee County. So that's going to be as these storms that came in here.
Down I'll get out of the way. You can take it over.
Sure, yeah. Down here towards Louisville. As they came on in from Louisville up towards Columbus, a lot of damaging wind did come from that. We've seen those reports. We came from you live in Columbus with that as well. If you have any photos, then you're off here in this rain shield. Perhaps if you can, it's safe to do so. Go ahead and send some damage images to us on our WCBI social media. You can do WCBI News and or WCBI Weather on Facebook and on Twitter. We've been monitoring those reports in the field, and we're kind of getting close to wrapping things up here. Other damage that we saw in Columbus, we were out there by the Sonic. If you know where the Sonic is, north on 45. In fact, I'll kind of zoom in to the map on Columbus here to kind of pinpoint some of that areas. There appeared to be a swath of damage here from near the Fox Run Colony up north here. So that's going to be in this area where some stronger winds came on through, Cannot confirm whether it was a tornado or damaging wind straight lines. That's going to be a job that the National Weather Service will be doing. They have several reports of damage that they'll be tending to, and we'll be communicating with them. So this is something that we're going to keep watching here. But as that swath came through, we saw those trees that were down. Several trees were on homes. There was some damage to the Sonic. The sign was blown down in the parking lot. A lot of debris that was there, even towards from basically where that Walmart is, that new Bulldog Burgers that they have here in Columbus, and points to the east. What we saw is through some of those neighborhoods there is the tree damage. Power lines were down. A lot of that was those trees falling on power lines. And we spoke to one homeowner north of town where they had the actual, the tree had came down on their home. There was damage. There was a hole in their roof. They were okay, though, and I don't think we've had any reports of injuries immediately here. And I don't know if we've either heard back from, was it Winston County that had the power lines in the vehicle?
Haven't heard back yet.
Yeah, so we're working. We've got news crews that are out in the city.